Caleb and Charlie's faces were like shock, and Caleb was actually getting emotional about it. I think I mentioned that in my first review that when Jeremy had his heart problems, like Caleb was legitimately worried about him. Like he was very concerned, and you could see like he was getting emotional about it. And but yeah, so there was that. And of course, they bring it up because he had to go in for his treatments during the harvest. And unfortunately, that didn't go very well for him because so the previous season, it rained nonstop for him, for most of the year. Then this season, not a drop of rain. So they were going through a drought, which meant they weren't getting nearly as many or getting as nearly as high of a yield on their crops as they had in the past. I mean, they showed their mustard seed area was just like a little pile of mustard seeds. And they also tried to plant onions and I can't remember what the other one was, what the other crop was, and the crops failed to grow. But then of course there's also with their cows. So season 2, I believe, was when Clarkson they brought in the cows, and that year was also when they had an outbreak of bovine tuberculosis, which there is no cure for that. So if a cow gets TB, that's it. The cows has to be put down. And so what happened here was that they were testing them all, and the way they did the test, and I kind of agree with Clarkson, it seemed very haphazard. They take like a little measuring whatever those called, where you it's kind of like a wrench, and what they do is they measure these lumps on them. Yeah, not really a wrench. It's I don't know what they're called.
Calipers, maybe, or
caliper. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and they measure the lumps on there, and they see how big the lumps are. And so as they're doing it, one of the cows was borderline in terms of the size of the lump, and then actually 2 of the cows were borderline on the size of the lump, and unfortunately one of those cows was his bull, end game, that they call him, and he's like just a great bull. He's very he's a strapping guy, as they say, and he's got some good genes in him, and of course now they're like, oh God, is he sick? But then they took like the last cow that they did was she was pregnant with twins, and they said it was inconclusive, so they thought that she might have had it. And so they quarantined her, and then they also quarantined Endgame because they're worried that they don't want him getting sick. And then so they went back and tested the cow again with the twins. Once again, the tests came back inconclusive, and apparently, if you get 2 inconclusive tests with TB, they have to put the cow down. Which
so you just lost a linchpin of your operation.
Yes, yeah, and needless to say, Clarkson was not happy about that at all. So of course, the real kicker was in the last episode when Charlie comes back to him and says, they put the cow down, and then they did a post-mortem, and it turns out the cow didn't have TB.
Oh no!
Yeah, and Clarkson said, the expression blood is boiling. He said, my blood's boiling right now, and I don't blame him because he lost a cow and 2 calves because the cow might have had tuberculosis.
And then it didn't.
and then it didn't. Yeah. And yeah, but yeah, so there are a lot of oh well, and then there was another one where there was a calf that had pneumonia, and and she I should say she wasn't getting any better, so they put her in a pen with her mom, and the calf was just never getting better, and they figured out it was because when the calf was born, it wasn't getting enough. Right after it was born, she didn't get enough nutrients from the mom's milk, and so she didn't have a good immune system. So they're like, okay, so they just said, okay, well, you have to put her down. So it was just, yeah, it was. Yeah, there was just a lot of stuff like that happening, and
It's kind of amazing that any farms survive whatsoever when you get down to it.
oh yeah, yeah, and well, and a lot of them, sadly, a lot of them don't. A lot of them do end up having to shut down because they don't have enough money to to keep going, and that was the thing at the end of the show when Clarkson's going through the numbers and everything, and he actually lost about 5,000 pounds um, for the year, and so he looked at Charlie, his farm guy, and he said, I got to pay. He said he has to pay him 75,000 pounds out of his own pocket to fund the next season's all the farming and everything for like the seed and the fertilizer and everything, feed and
Right, like not everybody has their grand tour money to throw into it.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah, that was what Clarkson. He, I know he said it in aggravation, but it was when the cow, with the twins had, said that she had to be put down, and he's like, why does anybody do farming? Because stuff like that happening. But and of course the last image or the last video we have in the season is Clarkson right back in a hospital bed. He said, the season started with him in a hospital bed and ended with him in a hospital bed.
So just a regular downer.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. And that was kind of the thing at the last dinner that they're having, where they're trying to focus on like positive things that happened. Like, well, I mean, they got some new, the automated, farming equipment they've got worked out really well. Oh, and there was this young woman that came in. She was like a bird lady who was helping identify all the different birds that are around the farm, and she's very quirky. I think she spends most of her time with birds and not so much time with people. If you catch my drift.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's some positive things that happen. Like did I mention Caleb had another baby?
I don't know that you did, but good for him.
Yeah, he had his third kid. What else? Well, it sounds like the pub is doing better. And and they got some sheep that are like easy care sheep. They don't have to shear them or anything like that, and they're actually more obedient, and they're producing some great lambs.
So these are less wool sheep and more meat sheep, or
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
So you've been on this 5-season journey with Clarkson.
Yeah.
It sounds like you would strongly recommend it.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. If you haven't watched this show yet and you have a Prime subscription, yeah, you definitely need to watch it. Yeah.
I did see some jokes about they spent $1 billion on Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, and more people watched these two British guys trying to run a farm.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I can't remember who it was that pointed it out, but they said, yeah, because Clarkson's farm has more likable characters.
Yep. Well, sounds like okay, I'm not going to say the season sounds like a good time, but it sounds like an investing time.
It is, yeah.
So I have no real transition to my personal thing, which basically I ended up watching it a couple weeks back and just kept forgetting to bring it up.
Mm.
I watched the animated movie Mitchell's versus the Machines, which is currently up on Amazon. Or excuse me, currently up on Netflix. I had Amazon on the brain.
Oh, yeah.
And um, Daniel and I had considered this as a review topic a couple months back, and he ended up watching a little bit of it first and just said, "No,
Mhm.
we're not doing this." He was dying of cringe poisoning about 10 minutes in.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't take it.
Not putting any words in your mouth.
No. No.
So I ended up watching this with some family members while we were sitting around waiting on something. And I think that the reason I could appreciate it is, okay, so I think that we both enjoy animation, but I'm more of a cartoon animation guy than Daniel is, like given the choice.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Now, but also I have a bit more cringe tolerance than he does for this sort of cartoon, because I think the way I would describe Mitchell's versus the Machines is it is the best modern audience movie I've ever seen. Partially because the characters do feel like people you've actually met, for good or ill. But also the movie is just very energetic. It's almost like ADHD. It never really stops with the quips, which whether or not that is a good or bad thing is about 130% based on, well, how good are the quips? And for me, like I would say it had at least like a 50% hit rate most of the time.
Yeah.
The other thing is, okay, so overall premise, and this is where it would be very easy to be cynical about this movie in a lot of ways, especially if you're the type who enjoys things like Critical Drinker and that kind of worldview. Oh, so you have a college girl who's going to go off to school, and she's going to go to this art college, and her dad isn't sure if she should go for her dreams. And he wants her to have a fallback, but no, that's quitter talk.
Yeah.
And so she's going to fly off, and they have a big argument where he breaks her laptop that she uses to make these little YouTube videos that are. I'm trying to think of what channel I would even compare them to. It's extremely random, because he basically just makes these little home movies, then jazzes them up in post. Usually starring their family pug. But the dad breaks her laptop when they're having an argument about, like, accidentally, of course.
Yeah.
We're having an argument about whether she should go to art school. Like, he looks at her weird cartoons and goes, can you actually make a living off of this? Which, like a responsible father would.
Yeah.
So, now meanwhile, so the dad, I'm not sure that you could actually do this. He cancels the plane tickets, which are in her name, but I guess he paid for them.
Yeah.
And he arbitrarily declares, we're going to drive across the country on a road trip instead of you just flying right to the college. During homecoming week, which she's upset about because she wanted to go hang out with her own people, where she feels like she doesn't get along with her family. Now, so the cast: Katie, the daughter, voiced by Abby Jacobson. Not familiar with her from other things. The dad is Danny McBride, character named Rick. Possibly the best performance in the movie, because he was able to bounce between being silly and serious when he needs to.
Danny. Sorry to interrupt you. Danny McBride. Yeah, he was Kenny Powers in Eastbound and Down.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen that one, but I've seen him around in things.
Yeah.
The mom is Maya Rudolph, who who I know best, I should say, from Parks and Recreation.
Yeah.
Um, Michael Rianda is the son. The mom is a very like Marge Simpson-y character, I think is a fair way to put it. Like very sincere, just classic mom character. And then you have Michael Rianda as Aaron, the clearly autistic son, who I definitely sympathized with because he loves dinosaurs way too much. So, and like he's upset about his sister leaving because she was like his only dino buddy. So as they're driving across the country, the bad guy, voiced by Eric Andre, actually no, he's not the bad guy. He's more of he is Steve Jobs, where he has created a AI assistant that, and his next step is he has built autonomous robots with the new AI version. And so he's basically throwing out his old version of Siri called Pal. And Pal doesn't take kindly to that and initiates a robotic overtaking of humanity that will result in all 8 billion humans in the world being loaded up into cubes and launched into space. Because the kind of obvious theme about the movie is that it's about not tossing aside people and like appreciating your family, which is, it's a good message for the kids.
Yeah.
And so I think that kids would enjoy this quite a bit. It's very frenetic. There's a lot of silliness, a lot of action scenes. There's humor that a lot of people could, somebody like this, like the dad is completely hopeless with technology. And there's a scene in the movie where he's the one who has to upload the command to the robots to shut them down.
Yeah.
It's basically boomers it up the whole way through. The animation style is what's funny is so this is not quite what it looks like. This is a 2D version of the drawings with some 3D moved in. When I get the actual thumbnail, I'll get a real movie poster for it. It is very much a Tumblr-ish aesthetic where characters aren't necessarily meant to look beautiful, more meant to look like cartoony and evocative, I guess is the way I would put it. It is an art style that I find it interesting when you watch these people who are clearly Tumblr influenced in terms of their aesthetics. The actual movie itself will look fine in 3D, and then you hit the end and it's like, oh man, they made this so much more appealing when they added that third dimension. I remember having a similar thought when we watched what was that Pixar movie about the fire people and the water people? Elemental.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember having the same thought there with Ruby Gillman, the DreamWorks movie. It's just a style that benefits from not being on the page, so to speak. Now, and what I thought was really funny about it in retrospect is that, so this thing was going to come out in 2020, 2021, but then the pandemic hit and the movie theaters were shut down, so it ended up getting an all digital release, and it was kind of a pandemic sleeper hit as far as I can tell. It was streaming on Netflix when I watched it last month, but it had a bunch of 2021 isms. Like you might notice here that the daughter has a pride button on her shirt the entire movie.
Yeah.
Which, if that had been 2023, would have probably sparked some sort of war if anybody had paid attention to it. And at the end of the movie, she, the one girl who she was really looking forward to meeting at the school, well, they've cut to several months later and they're just dating and nobody really thinks much of it. Which the thought that came to my mind there was, which was the style at the time.
Yeah.
But so Not saying there's anything wrong with that per se. I'm just saying it's kind of funny in retrospect.
Yeah.
Because it seems like, again, like it seems like the movie was, or it is funny just how things switched a little bit in the 3 or 4 intervening years since then. I guess 5 year intervening years now. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, that's wow.
Just in terms of that being a big deal or not.
Yeah.
Plus, let's be honest here. Art school student dresses like that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying she can't be straight, but it seems statistically unlikely.
Yeah. The bright flashing light, like
yes. Anyway, so overall, I do actually give this a recommend. Like, of course, watch it on streaming. Don't pay extra money for it because you might bounce off of it the same way Daniel did. But I think that if it appeals to you at all in the first 5 minutes or so, it's just like a very offbeat movie. It's in kind of a fun, quirky way, and it feels okay. You know what? We often will complain that a lot of these animated movies feel like therapy for the director, especially like a lot of the newer Pixar movies.
Yeah.
I think the best way I could describe this is they actually made the therapy session fun and of interest to other people, which is hard.
Yeah. That can be a challenge.
But that's my overall thoughts on it. Like I said before, it's on Netflix. You can also rent it places like Amazon if you don't want to do the extra subscription.